We read 4 verses from the book of Jonah. That is Jonah chapter 1 from verse 1 to 4. It tells us the beginning of the story of God and his relationship with Jonah. It's a good thing to hear the Lord, to hear his voice. It can be a still small voice. It can be a gentle prodding on your inside. It can be a message in a dream for those who dream, or a vision for those who see visions. But at best, it's oftentimes a direct message from the scriptures. But God has many ways via which he talks to his children. And in the case of Jonah, the Bible says the Lord spoke to him. He heard God. He heard God in a clear way. I don't know the format. Was it a dream? Was it a vision? Was it a still small voice? But Jonah was not in doubt of who spoke to him. He knew God spoke to him. So his decision to go, instead of Nineveh, to go to Tarshish, was taken in full understanding that he was disobeying God. Let's talk of disobedience. The ability of human beings to disobey God is legendary. It started in the Garden of Eden, a simple requirement. Do not eat this little fruit. I don't know what it looked like. I don't know what is so attractive about it. But they ended up eating it. When you have an entire garden where you can pick fruits and you can eat at will, our forefathers, Adam and Eve, chose to eat this one fruit that God said not to eat. And since then, the gene of disobedience was on the inside of man. You and I will know how many times we've done things we know we shouldn't do simply because we felt like doing it. We like to do what feels good instead of living according to the instructions of God. This is what Jonah did. He moved and focused on Tarshish when he should be going to Nineveh. I will use a word here. He did the abnormal. And the abnormal is go against that which will be normal based on the instructions of God. And if you do the abnormal, then things are definitely going to be abnormal. You can't be living an abnormal lifestyle and expect everything around you to be normal. No. So things went abnormal for him. And what happened on sea is what we see in Jonah chapter 1 verse 4. The Bible says, but the Lord sent out a great wind on that sea. And there was a mighty tempest on the sea, so that the ship was about to be broken. Which means God spoke in a louder voice. You call it a storm. I'm only calling it God speaking in a louder voice. Don't tell me that when God told him, go to Nineveh, and he was going to Tarshish, don't say to me that nothing pricked his heart. Something must have spoken, a gentle voice saying, that is not the way to go. Maybe God himself speaking, but this guy was a stubborn individual. He was not going to do the will of God. He was going to Tarshish, and God can do anything about it. Then God spoke in a louder voice. You heard? I didn't call it a storm. God spoke in a what? A louder voice. And that loud voice, the loud voice of God, is something. May he continue to speak to us in a still small voice. The loud voice of God can cause earthquakes. The loud voice of God, I hope that he will not have to shout at any one of us. You know, he said, hitherto have I been quiet. He said, now I'm going to shout like a woman in labor. I don't know what will happen when God chooses to do that. So God spoke in a louder voice. It's still the same God speaking to the same Jonah, my servant, in a louder voice, and the sheep shook because God spoke in a louder voice. And the storm rose because God spoke in a louder voice. And they continued, but the journey cannot continue normally. God is speaking, his voice is getting louder, something will have to change. And so, Jonah, after a while, told them, toss me into the sea. They tossed Jonah into the sea. You know the rest of the story. And the storm has delivered its message. The storm said to Jonah, Jonah, you are on the wrong way. You are going the wrong pathway. This is not where you are supposed to be going. That's the message of the storm. Once you know you're going the wrong way, you turn back and you begin to do the right thing, the storm will stop. But the problem of mankind is sometimes we ignore the storm. When we ignore the storm, then God will speak in a more louder voice. What we see here with Jonah, when the Bible says the Lord sent out a great wind on the sea, it's a great wind. It's not the greatest God has. He sent a great wind. The sea became turbulent. People were throwing material into the sea. They didn't want the ship to sink because God was speaking in a louder voice. And I am beginning to see governments are saying churches are going to reopen. Government are saying things are going to be normal. Can it be normal if we're not normal? My question. Do we understand what the psalm has said? Do we understand the message of the psalm? Because if we do not understand the message of the psalm, and we continue on what we consider normal, and God thinks it is abnormal, then God will speak in a much louder voice. And this is not threatening, but it's just asking us to really take toll of what the storm has spoken. We need to take toll of what the storm has spoken individually. This season of Corona, thank God you're not dead. Thank God that you can hear this message. Thank God that we're here together. Thank God. But has it not said anything to you? If it has not said anything to you, if nothing changes in your life, then God may speak in a louder voice. God may speak in a louder voice. From individuals, let's talk to churches. Let churches begin to take toll. Now, this idea of they're going to lift the restrictions, churches are going to open, how are we going to go back to what we've been doing and we consider normal? If what we've been doing and we consider normal was good enough, this would not have happened. If Jonah had done what God wanted him to do and he went all the way to Nineveh, there had been no storm. The fact that there's a storm is indicative of the fact that something was wrong. It would be very bad if Jonah now, he went into the whale, 3 days he stayed there, and the whale vomited him at the shore of Nineveh. Why not take another ship and run away from Nineveh again? God yet will speak in a much louder voice. And when he speaks, the louder his voice, the bigger the storm. Why will his voice increase? If our obedience and disobedience continue persistently, God's voice will continue to increase. I know I've been listening to God these past few days. This corona thing has spoken a lot to me. I am not likely to return to what life was before it happened. For this came in, some of these storms, they come in without a cloud. This is one of them, no cloud. Late last year, we started to hear of a strange disease in Wuhan, in China, and then it was Chinese problem, then it became white man's problem, then it came to Africa. We lost people in Kano, people died everywhere because God is speaking. And I perceive that it's not speaking to just one person. If it's a worldwide storm, then it's a worldwide speech. Which means everybody who has passed through this season must take some time to think and say, what has the season said to me? What is the message of the storm? If you've not done it, I want to advise that you do it. What is that one thing that should change? What is that thing you consider normal that you've discovered is abnormal? Oh, that guy went into the ship and he was sleeping downstairs. He considered, I'm just running away from God, and it seemed normal to him. Your journey can be normal if you're not doing what is normal with God. God will speak. He doesn't like to be disobeyed. This is not national. This is worldwide. What is God saying to the world? But why is that my problem? Let those who are ruling the world think about that. What is God saying to the nation? Okay, that's my problem. I'll pray for the nation. But let the president consider that. What is God saying to my family? There it concerns me. What is God saying to you as a man in your family? What is God saying to you as a woman in your family? What is God saying to you as a church leader? What is God saying? What is the message of this storm? If we miss it, there will be another. And I'm not a prophet of doom, but I think God has something to say. We've been around for a while. I'm over 60 years, and I've not seen anything like this before. God has not spoken this loud before in my time. Now, if He's chosen to speak with this intensity, then He wants something changed. I hope we're all going to see that individually. We're going to see that as families. We're going to see that as house fellowships, as zona meetings. We're going to see that as churches. The leadership will sit down together, and for once they won't talk about money. Let them talk about that which concerns the kingdom of God, for I think He has something to say about it. If we do not do that, and we continue the journey, see what happened to the sheep. They threw their substances. They were traders. The things they were taking somewhere to sell, they threw it into the sea. Money was lost. Have we not lost money in this pandemic? A lot of things were lost. I don't know if they lost a man or the other. The Bible didn't say so. But that is not the best. It's a great wind. It's not the greatest wind. It's a great wind. It's not the best of God. Do you know something the Bible says about him? He said, the wheels of his chariot is like thunderstorm. The thunderstorm is not a sign of his anger. It's just the wheels of his chariot. And here, we've been here months, rolling into months. We've been waiting. It will be very foolish of us as individuals if we do not take time to take thought and say, what does this say to me? So if tomorrow the government says it's lifted, you can travel, you can do anything, you can fly, and you continue to fly like you were flying, oh, that'd be foolish. I advise you fly differently. If I said you can eat, you can do business, and you continue to eat as you were eating, and you continue to do business like you were doing it, then you've not learned from the storm. And if we do not learn, God will insist. God will insist. I perceive, like I said earlier on, that it was not the first time God spoke to Jonah. And because I've been working with him for a few days, I understand that it starts with a little prodding in your chest. Something says to you, no, son. Then it becomes more audible. And if you ignore it, it can send men to you. If you ignore it, it starts to touch things that matter to you. If you continue to ignore it, it starts to touch things that matter much to you. God can start with your pulse. He can touch your health. He can touch anything. He can touch as many things as possible until he has your attention. But once he has your attention, the storm will stop. I'm hoping sincerely that God will have our attention. Once he has our attention, he does not desire to hurt anybody. The Bible is specific about his mercy, his grace. He's so merciful, and that is why sometimes we take him for granted. God wants it to be well with us. He said, the thoughts I have towards you are thoughts of good and not evil, to give you a hope and an expected end. God has something good in his mind, but he cannot stand our lack of fear for him, and he cannot stand our continual and perpetuated disobedience. And he's speaking now, and he's speaking loud. But like I said earlier on, I repeat myself, it's not his loudest voice. He can speak louder. Oh yes, things can get gorier. But before we get there, I'm asking that we all take it all, that we all think about it, that we all ask ourselves the individual question. Yes, Corona has happened. Maybe Corona is going. What have I learnt? What must I do differently so that God's voice will not have to be louder? Thank you very much.